Good evening, students. Is my voice is audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This class we're going to discuss about production of elemental phosphorus, phosphorus pentoxide, and phosphoric acid by electric furnace method. Last class I have discussed something, but still I will start from the scratch. Okay, to prepare phosphorus pentoxide, and phosphoric acid, we need feed. Okay, here the feed is phosphate rock. The rock will be available in the sizes that ranges more than 100 mm. So we have to crush the rock first. So these rocks are grinded here. Once you started grinding, you will have the phosphate rock in the sizes ranging between 1 mm to 100 mm. Okay, so what we do is the crushed phosphate rock with varying with sizes ranging from 1 mm to 100 mm, it is passed to the sinterer. Okay, in a sinterer, you will allow this crushed phosphate rock to mix with coke grease and air. What is coke grease? While you process coal in a coal gasification unit, okay, you will get a small finely uh, powdered particles. These finely powdered particles are termed as an coke grease. Once again, I'm repeating. While you process coal, you will get a finely powdered particle during coal gasification. This finely powdered particle is termed as an coke grease. This coke grease, along with the crushed phosphate rock, will react with air. Okay, once it reacts with air, what will happen is, okay, uniform mixing should happen. So uniform mixing will happen in a sinterer. In a sinterer, what will happen is a large lump of solid molecules will be formed. Okay, after you add coke grease and air, the phosphate rock will react with the coke grease and air, and a large lump of molecules will be formed. Okay, these large lump of molecules are screened according to the sizes. Once you started screening, the the fine particles will come first, followed by the bigger particles at the last. Okay, uh, in grinder and sinterer and screen here, no temperature or pressure conditions are maintained. It will be carried out under normal temperature and pressure. Then the screened phosphate rock containing coke grease and air, it is further treated in electric furnace. Okay, while treating in a electric furnace, we will add some amount of coke grease and sand. Okay, this, what is the percentage of coke grease and what is the percentage of sand? Okay, it is not possible for us to specify here. The reason behind it depends upon how much percentage of phosphate rock you have passed to the electric furnace. Okay, whatever be the if in electric furnace, if we have passed around some 80% of the phosphate rock, depending upon the proportion of the phosphate rock we have passed in the electric furnace. Okay, if 80% of the phosphate rock has been passed, it means you will add 10% of the coke grease and balance 10% of the sand. Okay, likewise it varies according to the proportion of the feed that you have crushed in an electric furnace. Okay, electric current is passed. Once you start applying electric current, the temperature will go beyond up to 1450 degrees Celsius. Here it has been mentioned as 1400. Okay, the temperature will go beyond 1450 degrees Celsius. At the temperature, it is not possible for you to maintain the same temperature throughout the process in an electric furnace. Okay, the temperature will deviate between 1400 to 1450. That is the reason there will be 50 degrees Celsius increase in the temperature. Uh, in an electric furnace, once the crushed once the crushed phosphate rock react with the coke grease and sand which is passed in the electric furnace, what will happen is the phosphate rock, some percentage of the phosphate rock will be converted in the form of an phosphorus vapor. Okay, the phosphorus vapor has been represented as P4 here. Other than the phosphorus vapor, since you are heating it at a temperature that ranges between 1400 to 1450 degrees Celsius. Other than the phosphorus vapor, carbon monoxide and dust particle will tend to come out at the top of the electric furnace, while the bottom you will have only the slag. Now the question comes is, what is the proportion of the phosphorus vapor that is collected? What is the proportion of the slag that is being collected at the bottom of the electric furnace? Okay, you will have 31% of the phosphorus vapor that is collected at the top, while the balance 69% will be collected as a slag at the bottom. The slag, whatever is being collected, it is cooled. Now the question comes is, at what temperature it is cooled? Whether it is 0 degrees or it is 100 degrees. Okay, it is cooled at a temperature less than 530 degrees Celsius. Okay, it means the cooling will happen so that you will reduce the temperature from 1400 to 530 degrees Celsius and below. Okay, so we started cooling it. Okay, you will continue the cooling until it reaches the room temperature. You will continue the cooling until it reaches the room temperature. Once you started cooling, once it reaches the room temperature, the slag can be used for road bed, for laying of road, because for laying of road, only tar is not sufficient. Okay, some amount of the phosphorus slag is also added. Okay, and it is used in soil liming. It is not lining, it is soil liming. Okay, for manufacture of some fertilizer it is used, and it is also used in the glass manufacturing unit. Okay, only the slag is used. Okay, we are not bothered about the impurity content that is present along that is present in the slag at all. Okay, we are worried what is the percentage of slag that is being formed and how we can utilize the slag. Okay, when we talk about the slag here, okay, no need to worry about the what are the impurities that is present in the slag or what is the purity content of the slag. Okay, we need a slag, we collected it, and finally we can use it for glass in glass manufacturing unit. Okay, you can purify there depending upon the type of the glass that you want to manufacture, whether you want to go for a higher quality or whether you want to produce the cheapest one with a lower quality. Okay, this is one part. And second part is the top product that is collected from the electric furnace is phosphorus vapor, carbon monoxide, and dust. We have studied early before CAP that electrostatic precipitator we have. Okay, this electrostatic, what is the role of electrostatic precipitator? The electrostatic precipitator will absorb dust. So the dust that is coming out along with the carbon monoxide and the phosphorus vapor will be collected in an electrostatic precipitator. Once it is collected, the phosphorus vapor and the carbon monoxide will be sent to the water spray condenser. Okay, in a water spray condenser, you will start spraying the water from the top. While you start spraying the water from the top, you are not going to pump the water, you are going to spray the water. So there is a difference between the pumping and there is a difference between the spraying. Okay, once you start spraying, what will happen is every water molecule will react with at least 2 to 3 molecules of the phosphorus vapor. Every water molecule will react with at least 2 to 3 molecules of phosphorus vapor. So the phosphorus in the form of a vapor will be converted to a solid form since you have added the water here. What will happen to the carbon monoxide while you have added water? Whatever the carbon monoxide that is present along with the phosphorus vapor, once you have started adding the water, the carbon monoxide will be collected at the top of the water spray condenser. You can able to see the arrow mark at the top of the condenser. Carbon monoxide is collected. Now the phosphorus is formed. Okay, this phosphorus is termed as an yellow phosphorus because once you start adding the water here, the phosphorus in the form of vapor will be converted to a phosphorus which is in the form of an yellow color. So yellow phosphorus is formed here. Now I have mentioned a water here. What is this water below this water spray condenser? If you added excess water, this excess water will be collected at the bottom of this water spray condenser. Now once you have started collecting the water, you will pass only the yellow phosphorus. See, if you want yellow phosphorus, you can stop the process here itself. But if I need red phosphorus, I need to carry out some more operation. How I can do it? This yellow phosphorus, it is sent to the batch converter. In a batch converter unit, we will heat the yellow phosphorus to a temperature of 250 degrees Celsius. Now the question comes is, what is the temperature maintained in the water spray condenser, which you have to answer at the end of the flow sheet. Okay, we will send this yellow phosphorus to the batch converter. In a batch converter, we will heat the product at 250 degrees Celsius. While we heat the product at 250 degrees Celsius, in a converter unit, the yellow color will be converted to a red color. While the conversion of this yellow to the red is happening, what will happen is uh, it loses its stability. It loses its stability. It loses its normally we will in chemical term other than stability we will term it as an pH for a liquid product. Here for a solid we will term it as stability. To retain the stability, what we do is we add 1% of magnesium oxide. This magnesium oxide tends to retain the stability while the conversion of yellow phosphorus to red phosphorus is happening. We have a reflux condenser at the top. What is a reflux condenser? See, while you are heating at 250 degrees Celsius, if some phosphorus vapors that escape from the water spray condenser, it will be tapped in a reflux condenser and it is passed in a batch converter. So the conversion of the phosphorus to yellow phosphorus to red phosphorus will happen. Once again, I'm repeating. See, I initially said that yellow phosphorus is collected. This yellow phosphorus can be further treated to be converted to a red phosphorus. While the conversion is happening, if you find that some 0.1% of phosphorus vapor has escaped from the water spray condenser, what you can do is you can tap it, it will escape anyway from the batch converter. So what it will do is the escaped phosphorus vapor will be collected in a reflux condenser in a reflux. Okay, it is a reflux, not a sorry, not a reflux condenser, it is a reflux. This reflux will collect the phosphorus in the form of an vapor and it will uh, return it back to the batch converter. So the conversion of phosphorus vapor to the red phosphorus will happen directly in a batch converter at a temperature of 250 degrees Celsius. And in order to maintain the stability, we add 1% MgO. There is another arrow mark that comes at the left hand side of the batch converter. It indicates if you have added excess magnesium oxide, it can be collected at the this side. Okay, whatever the magnesium oxide that you have added here, it maintains the stability. But if you have added excess amount of magnesium oxide, if you have added accidentally, it can be collected at the other end of the batch converter. Now the red phosphorus is formed. Okay, this red phosphorus will be in a diluted form. Okay, it will be in a diluted form. Now I want to increase the concentration of the red phosphorus from a diluted form to the concentrated form. So now what I will do is I will send the red phosphorus to the condenser unit. In a condenser unit, I will add Na2CO3. Okay, sodium carbonate. This red phosphorus will react with the sodium carbonate. Okay, once it reacts, what will happen is the concentration will gradually increase. It will not increase from 1% to 100% directly. No, it will happen like step by step, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. Okay, it will take time. Okay, what is the time taken? Okay, have a make a note of it. I will ask this question at the end. What is the time taken for the conversion of a dilute form of the red phosphorus to the concentrated form of the red phosphorus once you have started adding sodium carbonate? Okay, merely adding sodium carbonate will not help us to increase the concentration to our required level. So what we do is we will send it to a mixture unit. In a mixture unit, we will add water. Okay, this water will mix along with the sodium carbonate and it will mix along with the red phosphorus. So we will get a solid product. Okay, but we will get a solid product plus we will have the water content also. Since you have added water, obviously this is like a mixer. Okay, once this is like a mixer, so uniform mixing of sodium carbonate and the red phosphorus will happen in the presence of water. So excess water what you have added and any other side product that is being formed after you have added water will be collected as a waste solution here. Now since you have added water, obviously the product will be wet. It means that you have to convert the wet red phosphorus to a dry red phosphorus. So what I will do is I will send it to a dryer. Okay, in a dryer, in order to convert the wet form to a dry form, what I will do, I will send the dust to particle. See, I have mentioned that dust. Don't think about the dust directly pass to the product. Okay, the dust is heated. Okay, like it's like a sand particle. Even you can heat the sand particle to 100 degrees Celsius, and it is passed externally. Okay, and it is passed externally in the along the walls of the dryer. Okay, the dust, the preheated dust, here the dust refers to the sand. Okay, the sand that you can heat up to 200 degrees Celsius or 300 degrees Celsius depending upon the moisture content that is being depending upon the water content that is being present along with the red phosphorus. In order to remove the water present in the red phosphorus, I will add sand. Okay, this sand can be heated 200 degrees Celsius or 300 degrees Celsius. Okay, it is passed externally. So once you start passing the sand particle externally, this sand, the heated sand, will absorb the water content that is present in the red phosphorus. Will absorb. Okay, this is like an absorbent. Okay, the sand is like an absorbent. This sand will absorb the water molecule that is present in the red phosphorus, and finally you will recover a dry red phosphorus at the bottom of the dryer, which you can send it for the storage unit. This is the second part. Now comes the third part. See, we have recovered the phosphorus in the form of an vapor, carbon monoxide and dust. Since you have recovered the dust from the electrostatic precipitator, before the conversion of yellow phosphorus, I am diverting it to another part. Okay, I am diverting it to another part. Here you can able to see, look at the cursor carefully. I am diverting here. The first part is I am diverting here to the combustion chamber. In a combustion chamber, I will have an absorbent called as in silica, because I will have an absorbent called as in silica, and I will pump bone dry air. Bone dry air means, okay, you will not have even 0.001% of moisture present in the air at all. Okay, you will not have even 0.001% of moisture present in it at all. Okay, so you will have an silica beads here. Along with the silica bead, you will have phosphorus and carbon monoxide vapor, and now you will pump or you will blow the dry air. Okay, air will contain nitrogen and oxygen. Okay, the role of the silica beads here is it will absorb the nitrogen that is coming out along with the oxygen. Air will have nitrogen and oxygen. So now what we do is we have there is no role of nitrogen here. We need only the oxygen, so it means we have to separate the nitrogen. How we can separate the nitrogen? The silica beads here, okay, can absorb the nitrogen, and it will can absorb only the nitrogen. Once it absorbs the nitrogen, what will happen is we will now we have only the oxygen. Okay, this oxygen will react with the phosphorus. Okay, oxygen react with the phosphorus will produce phosphorus pentoxide. Now the question comes in, at what temperature this in the combustion chamber the reaction is happening for the reaction between phosphorus and oxygen to produce phosphorus pentoxide. Okay, this reaction will happen at 800 degrees Celsius. Okay, make a note of it. This reaction will happen at 800 degrees Celsius in a combustion chamber. Now I have phosphorus pentoxide until I have carbon monoxide, CO. Now I will pass this phosphorus pentoxide along with the carbon monoxide to the fluid bed condenser. In a fluid bed condenser, you can able to see along with the rectangle reactor, you will have outer lining. Okay, this outer lining indicates you will pump water externally, a cooled water. See, normally the term condenser itself indicates that you are going to do cooling activity. So you will pump the cooling water. Okay, this what it will happen is the temperature will be brought down from 800 degrees Celsius to the normal room temperature. Okay, once you start bringing down the temperature gradually from 800 degrees Celsius to room temperature, what will happen is carbon monoxide will evolve out. Now you can retain only the phosphorus pentoxide. This is one way of production of phosphorus pentoxide. Now comes the fourth part. There is another way of production of other than phosphorus pentoxide. Now I have to produce phosphoric acid. Now how I can produce phosphoric acid? See, in the combustion chamber here which I mentioned it as bone dry air. It means you don't have any moisture at all. Here for the production of phosphoric acid, once again I am passing into a combustion chamber. Here I have clearly mentioned ambient air, not dried. Okay, it means the air will have moisture. Now my role is to remove the moisture. My role is to remove the nitrogen. Then only I can carry out the reaction between phosphorus and oxygen to produce phosphorus pentoxide first. Okay, now what I will do in a combustion chamber, I will have an absorbent called as a molecular sieve. Okay, please make a note of it. It is not given in the book. I will have an absorbent called as a molecular sieve. Okay, this molecular sieve will absorb the moisture content plus the nitrogen that is present along with the oxygen. Okay, so nitrogen and the moisture will be absorbed by the molecular sieve. Then the reaction will happen between the oxygen and phosphorus vapor. If the reaction is happening between oxygen and phosphorus vapor, so obviously you will get the phosphorus pentoxide. Now the question comes is, at what temperature, okay, this reaction between phosphorus and oxygen for the conversion to phosphorus pentoxide is happening. Okay, here the reaction will happen at 1100 degrees Celsius. So you will have different temperature condition in a different combustion chamber. No need to confuse the combustion chamber temperature here and here. Here for production of phosphorus pentoxide directly you will have around 800, while in this production of phosphoric acid you will have around temperature of 1100. First I have converted to phosphorus pentoxide. This phosphorus pentoxide is sent to the water spray condenser. This is the water spray condenser. This phosphorus pentoxide will be reacting with the droplets of water molecules. I am going to spray the water from the top. This sprayed water droplet will react with phosphorus pentoxide. Once the water molecules react with phosphorus pentoxide, I will get crude 85% acid. Okay, I will get 85% of crude acid. Okay, which is of no use. Which is of no use. Now what I will do is, I will whatever the acid that has been produced, I am sending it to the purification process unit. In the purification process unit is mentioned here. Okay, in a purification process unit, uh, I will add sulfuric acid, powdered silicon dioxide, SiO2. Once I start adding the sulfuric acid and the silicon dioxide, what will happen is this 85% of the crude acid will be converted to a phosphoric acid. The reason why I mentioned it as crude acid here is this is also a phosphoric acid, but this 85% phosphoric acid is impure. Okay, this 85% phosphoric acid is impure, which is of no use at all. Impure phosphoric acid you cannot use anywhere. Even you cannot send it to the glass manufacturing unit or any other manufacturing unit. You cannot carry out the purification process in the respective manufacturing unit. You have to carry out the purification process of this phosphoric acid in the place where you produce phosphoric acid itself. So now the question comes is, before sending this crude 85% of the acid to this purification unit, what I will do is I have to remove the carbon monoxide. So I am sending to electrostatic demister. The term, there is a difference between electrostatic precipitator. Electrostatic precipitator remove the dust. Electrostatic demister remove the mist. Since we have added ambient air, not dried, okay, normally we come across some situation where the moisture droplet will also come. And another thing is, since I've added water, okay, excess water molecule that is coming out, what I can do is I can recover in an electrostatic demister unit. Okay, while I pass electric current in electrostatic demister unit, I can collect the moisture droplet, plus I can remove the carbon monoxide. Okay, now other than this, if any crude acid escape from this water spray condenser to the electrostatic demister unit, I can recycle it back. Okay, that is the reason recycling is mentioned here. Don't think that the moisture that is being collected is recycled back. No. Okay, if any crude 85% of, if any percentage traces of acid that escape from the water spray condenser from here will be recycled back to the purification unit. In a purification unit, you will add sulfuric acid, silicon dioxide. Okay, so the reaction will happen between a crude 85% acid, sulfuric acid, and a powdered silicon dioxide. So what you will get is you will get a purified 85% phosphoric acid. Okay, if you have a percentage of 90%, you will get 90% phosphoric acid. If you have 95%, you will get 95%. Okay, but when I come across some research paper, I found that the maximum percentage of phosphoric acid that can be recovered is only up to 88. Okay, it cannot go beyond 88% at all. In the flow sheet it has been given 85. If in exam, if the question is asked, you can boldly mention that it can go up to 88%. Okay, during the course of conversion of the impure phosphoric acid to a purified phosphoric acid, you can recover H2S, and you can recover some sludge. Okay, H2S is, you can able to see it is pumped in. Okay, the reason is, if the sulfur, if sulfuric acid, if I don't have enough percentage of sulfuric acid, what I can do is, okay, I can use H2S as an optional. Okay, it is not pumped in all the time. It can be used only as an optional if I don't have any sulfuric acid at all. Okay, in the region where you if you don't have enough stock of sulfuric acid, you can add H2S. Once you have added, it is either H2SO4 or H2S. Okay, you can recover the some other side product like CH4, ASSP, then H2SiF6. AS is arsenic with sulfur, then H2SiF6 is hexafluorosilicic acid. Okay, these are the waste products that can be recovered at the bottom of this purification process while you recover the phosphoric acid. Okay, I have given two questions. If anyone can ask that question, I can answer it. Okay, after that, I will give you some of the questions which you can make a note of it, which will help you for what are the hot questions that can be asked from this particular topic and how it can be asked. Okay, this is the explanation process. If you have any doubts related to this, you can ask. Students, if you have any doubts related to this flow sheet, you can ask.
No, sir.
Okay.
So, what are the type of questions that can be asked for this
Yes, I will
flowchart?
ask. I will say. Wait. Okay, but let me clarify some of your doubts. If you have any doubts, then I will ask. Then I will tell you the question which you can make a note of it. Okay. Okay, it seems there is no question from your end. Okay, please make a note. Nowadays from henceforth, what I will do is after the completion of every flow sheet, I will give you some questions. Okay, these questions which you have to find out the answer from your end. Okay, if you can't able to find out the answer during the next class after the completion of a topic, okay, you can ask this question. I will answer it. Okay, and meanwhile, if you have any doubt personally, you can mail me or you can ping me through a Microsoft Team message. But I request you to find out the answer. You will surely find it out. Okay. Okay, are you ready to note it down?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
The first question is why no temperature or pressure conditions are not required to be maintained in sinterer and screening unit?
Sir, slow, sir.
Why no temperature? Why no operating condition are maintained in sinterer and screening unit? Noted. Okay, let me give you the next question. See, I have an air cooling unit below the electric furnace. Okay, what will happen if I cool with water? Below the electric furnace, I have air cooled unit. What will happen if I cool using water?
Sir, please repeat once more.
Below the electric furnace, we have air cooling unit. Okay. What will happen if I cool using water instead of air below electric furnace? Can you say the next question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why? Note it down. Why? 1% magnesium oxide is added to maintain the stability. Why not other agent?
Repeat it.
Why 1% magnesium oxide is added to maintain the stability in batch converter? Why not other reagent? Noted?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Noted the next question. Why the drying of red phosphorus is taking place by the addition of sand externally?
Excuse me, sir.
Noted?
Can you repeat, sir?
You want me to repeat once again?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Why the drying of red phosphorus is taking place by the addition of sand externally? Okay. The last question is, why the formation of phosphorus vapor is taking place in an electric furnace and not in a normal furnace? Why the formation of phosphorus vapor is taking place in an electric furnace and not in a normal furnace? Okay, with this, we'll wind up today's topic. I think I have already shared with the attendance link. Sir, I haven't.
Nothing.
What, ma?
Excuse me,
Sir,
sir. Can you
what
repeat
is
the
the
first?
Repeat the question once again. Okay. The last question I will
No,
repeat
sir.
it. I will repeat. Wait. Why the formation of phosphorus vapor is taking place in an electric furnace and not in a normal furnace?
sir, sir, what is the full name of this flow sheet?
Full name of flow sheet. What you have seen while I am teaching the flow sheet, manufacture of phosphorus, phosphorus pentoxide and phosphoric acid by electric furnace method. This is clearly given at the bottom of the slide. I don't know where you're looking. That too, my video is off. Huh?
Sir, okay, sir. Can you leave?
Yeah, if you have completed, you can leave.
Thank you,
Kindly
sir.
submit your attendance and leave.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir,
Yeah, you can leave. If you have
sir,
any
due
doubt, you
to
can ask.
internet problem, I couldn't give my attendance, sir. Can you
Hey,
please?
Kumar, what you do is you send me a message, in Microsoft Team personally, okay?
Yes, sir.
So that I will remember. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Sir, you had shared the attendance list at 5 only, no, sir? I've done it then and now also I've done it once. That's fine.
No, if you have submitted early, no problem. Okay, I already shared at 5 o'clock. So if you have submitted early, no problem. Some students are not submitting at all. It's very difficult for me to give them attendance. That is the reason why I'm testing now to register the attendance now.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.